Okay. So what I want to do, I know several of you have done it, and so what we're going to do is we're going to start in coding it straight without a function, which is the easiest way to code it. And then we're going to go in and pull a function out. And then if it's not anything like the way you did it and you want to show those ways, then we'll go to that too. Okay. So any questions you have when I'm up here doing this, stop me, because this is your time to learn. And I want you to ask whatever questions that you need so that you feel comfortable for the test. And then we can do other problems too, if we have time. So let me get to, and don't let me forget, Caitlin, at the end to make sure with MindTap that I have it for Unit 6, because that should be open. I don't know what I thought I remembered doing it, but maybe not. All right, so I'm going to go to, first of all, we'll go ahead and read Project 3, and we'll kind of follow along with it. And you'll also notice, if you want to see what have the actual code that we're going to work with, but if you want to look at it after we do it, I'm also have another zip file that I loaded into Canvas. Let's see if I can get in here. That says P3 in-class coding, I think is what it says. And it's a zip file, but if you want to try to do it first without looking at that, that's what we're going to be working from. If you want to download that zipped file, it has all the Python that we're going to work through in class. Okay, why did Canvas not come open? Let's see, it's all black. I don't know what that is about. Well, where did we go? So I'm not going to go over there to it. I'm not going to open it up. But in Canvas, under Module 3 at the very bottom, it says P3 in-class coding zip. And so if you download that, and remember in Windows, you have to extract all to get to those Python programs. But that's what we're going to do in class. So we'll also, if you want to open either PyCharm or IDLE, whichever you like to code in, because even if you loaded up Project 3 and it didn't work, if you go ahead and work through these in class, and then I think, Joseph, you had a question, didn't you, about yours or something? No, you were just saying that you got it done.
I didn't submit it because I have the code here, but it doesn't run correctly.
Oh, well, go ahead and submit it so that you'll get full credit when you can do it in class and submit one that works. But I wanted to know that you worked it before class. So if you submit something before which I know I talked to you, so I know we haven't started it yet. That was the idea. I wanted to see what you did before, and then we can try to fix yours, and we're going to go through this way to do it, okay? So Project 3, let me find the actual. You didn't put the function in yet? We're going to do that too, and do it with and without. Okay, so it was called, somewhere I put P3 nested. There it is. Okay, so this is the one this is the document, the way it was given to you to work. There it is. And then let me get this open to 3 class coding. Okay, so what our problem says is that we, and remember, this is something like this will be what your test is, only it will be a modification of test number 2. So remember I told you to be sure that if you don't have test 2, that you look for it or go and find where we did it in class so that you have a good answer for test number 2, because that will save you time. Like if you have that will save you time for test 3, because part of the coding in test 3 is test 2. Okay, because we're going to make a modification of I'm pretty sure that's the one that I do that. Yeah, I looked at it. It's the tuition thing that you did where you averaged grades and then you printed out a message if their grade was a certain thing. So we're going to do a modification of that, okay, with loops. All right, so in this one is telling us that we have a 3-day sale and the price of an unsold t-shirt drops 15% each day. So you're going to try it with these 5 t-shirt prices, but we want it to work with any number of t-shirt prices. So remember, it's a sentinel control loop, which means it's an indefinite loop. It's just that I gave you these so that you would know if yours ran correctly, okay? So the signal to the end, it should not be a counter-controlled loop. It should be controlled by if the control variable is 999, okay? So I tell you here, I give you an example. If the $15 t-shirt, the first day, if that's the original cost, you'd print the original cost out and then 15% less, which would be $12.75, you would print out for the second day with a label, the third day with a label at $10.84. So your script will input, I say 5 different t-shirt. I really should change that because I want you to do any number of different t-shirts. Output is the original price, second day price, third day price, and the trigger for the end, I tell you in this part, is 9s. So it says first thing in the loop you're going to do, before you enter the loop, is you're going to ask the user to input the price. Then you're going to use a loop to request each input. So this will be the outer loop, and you'll use the while loop and ask the user to enter 999. Then you're to use a nested loop. Oh, actually, when I did this first one, I didn't use a nested loop. Use a nested for loop to print the 3 prices for each discount for each t-shirt price the user inputs. See the attached image, and then you'll use a function. Okay, so this first one that I'm going to show you doesn't use a nested loop. Oh, I already have it open. All right. So this one, here's what's called our priming loop, right? I'm sorry, our priming input, right? It's the first input before we enter the loop. So we're going to have to put a nested loop in here. But the way this one works, it says while t-shirt price is not equal to 999, then print the original price and t-shirt price. Then day 2 equals t-shirt price times 85%. So why did we do 85 instead of 15? Yeah, so it takes out one calculation. If you calculated the 15% and then subtracted it, that would work too. But this is the shorter way to do it. Then day 3, and then we print day 2 and day 3 out. And then we have to have an alter of our control variable. So here we ask for input again and go back up. So this is a really simple way. And if I do 15, I get the correct price, right? So this one I can keep entering. What was the second one that I said to enter? Let's see. Okay, 1725. Where'd my eye open? So just to make sure that this one is going to work with more than one. There it is. Okay, so now if I'm ready to stop, and it stopped. So this one works without a nested loop, right? So what if I wanted to make a nested loop out of this? Is there a way to do that? Where instead of the while loop is controlled by the all 9s, and here's where it's controlling when we need to go to a new price, right? So what this one is doing is just printing day 2 and day 3, which is really simple. So what if I wanted the original price and I wanted it to use a nested loop to print these two out. Is there a way to do that?
Like the range, like for all 3 days, you need that range.
Yeah, so right after this loop, right, I would put a for loop.
Yeah.
So I'd say for, and what's my control variable is just going to be like X or something, or count or whatever.
Day.
Yeah, day. Okay. So day, for day in range, and all I have to say is, do I stop at 3 or 2? Stop at 3. Okay. So that's all I need to put in my range, colon. And so what do I want to do in that? I want to print the original price, but I only want to do that one time, right? So do I print headings? Did somebody do headings? Who did it with their nested loop without a function? Did anybody do that yet? John, you did? Okay. Did you upload yours?
Yeah, it's uploaded. I'm about to upload one with the function instead.
Okay, well, you can upload it, but let me see the one without the function. Did you do it that way? But you did a function, right, Kayla?
Yeah, I did a function.
Okay, so I want to go first without the function. And because I know like Jamie had trouble and she used a break. Well, I know there's a way to do it without the break. So that's what I want y'all to see. Okay, let's see, where is, let me get this up. Where's Canvas? Wow. Let's see, log into Canvas. Something is wrong with this login here because it wasn't letting me. Do I not have my internet connection? What's it saying? Oh, I know why I need to be on public. Joined. Weird. It's gonna make me do private. So now I gotta remember what my there it is. Okay. All right. So under projects, let me go under. Where's it at? And this one is John. What's your last name, John? There it is. Okay. So here's your PY. Let me go here. Okay, so this one, the way John did it, okay, he set up a max number of t-shirts. You didn't use, did you use the 9s? What's this? Oh, price.
It's quick. 9 were quick.
So what's this right here?
But
That constant called service price max. Did you use it?
I never took that out.
Okay, yeah, I don't see it used down here. Okay, user counter equals 0, quit equals float. Maximum discount equals 2. User prices, okay, while true, user prices. Oh, you did use a break like Jamie did. Right here, you said while true, user prices equals.
Oh, I did use it.
Yeah. While true, user prices equals float input, original T price, t-shirt price. So you have read in the original price. If user prices is not equal to quit, that's how you break out instead of the loop. Here's the for loop that you use. So did anybody do it with an outer loop and an inner loop that didn't use a break? Anybody make it work? Caitlin did? Okay, let's look at
I
here.
don't know.
Well, we'll look at different ones. I'm not saying that's wrong, how John and Jamie did it. I'm just telling you we want to see if we can do it without a break. Okay, so let me download yours. Okay, so here's her function. Here's where she says, okay, here's her priming input. Set price num equal to float price. Discount equals 15%. I equals 0. Wall price is not equal to 9s for I in range 5. So why did you, oh, you're having this for loop.
Yeah, I just followed my interpretation of the directions on the document.
Yeah, because I said to do 5 t-shirt price. So does this really do anything?
It prints out what's supposed to print out.
No, I mean, does this in the loop if you put 999 in it?
In the beginning.
For I in range 5, call discount, and discount goes up here and says discount price equals, and she even figured out how to do the rounding. You can do it a couple different ways. You can do it with the round, or you can do 2F for a float and tell it to only print out 2 decimal places.
But what it does is,
Yeah, what it does is what?
It'll ask in the beginning. I just want
Here, we'll run it. We'll just run it. Here we go. Okay, and y'all have to tell me where all the prices. So if I say 15 here, it prints out. Great. Okay, so then how do I get it to go again?
you just enter the next price.
Oh, so it doesn't ask again?
No, because the picture that you showed what the output was, it didn't keep asking it. It just showed.
Oh, okay. So then you say 1275. Was that next one? Oh, yeah, you're right. 17 transposed numbers, didn't I? Oh, that's pretty cool. So you got it to do exactly. What was the next one? 25.00. Now, it probably won't work if I put 999 right now. Because it's looking for exactly 5. So let's see if we can. Okay, so then, but you did make it do exactly what I said. That's great. Okay, so what's the next one? We'll go all the way. So we'll make sure that this one ends. So what's the next?
19.99.
And now 999. Well, that's pretty cool. It's the way she did it. Okay, so I never seen it done that way. That's pretty efficient code. But the clue was here in the for loop. If we could make this be unlimited, and there's really not a way in a for loop to do that. So she did it. That was pretty clever. Okay, and no breaks, breaking out. So here, this one worked. Who did it a total different way? Zachary, did you get yours to work?
No.
Not really?
It's got, like, the looping structure works, but the numbers stay the same.
Okay, let's look at what does yours do? We'll look at yours too. Let's see. Where is Zach? Okay, so this one, let me go down, copy it here. Okay, so this one, which works now? It just doesn't change the amount. Is that what you said? Let's see.
It'll calculate, it'll run it down once, and then all the numbers stay the same.
Oops, that one didn't run. What does it say? Invalid. This may be why it doesn't. Okay, first it says line 12, t-shirt price equals int. Oh, because I entered 15. Okay, so you want this to be float. Did you try it with float? Let's try this and see if this makes it work. Okay, so everybody see what's happening on his? This is, okay, when we put $15 in, his doesn't ever change the discount, and it probably changes it, but didn't print it out. Let's see what we got. So if we look at just this one and make it work, even if it didn't have a function, let's try that. While t-shirt price, so here's his priming input, which it took the $15 in. While t-shirt price is not equal to 9s for X in range, so you're saying start X with 0, go to 3, and increment one step at a time. You've set day discount equal to 0. Discount t-shirt equals 0. Discount t-shirt equals t-shirt price. And then you make a call up here to discount calculation. Okay. See, you're incrementing this loop down here, but up here you're having it go through a bunch of times also. So it's looping through, but it's setting it back to 0 every time. So that's why it's still calculating 1275 every time. So the for loop isn't quite working right. Okay, who else had one? Brennan, does yours work?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at yours then. Oh, he even used the housekeeping, detail loop, and end of job, just like we've been doing in our book. So he did his set quit equal to 999, name equals housekeeping. So he goes up here to this function, and he asks for the price for the first time and sets it to name. Then while name is not equal to quit, then perform detail loop, just right here. So name is equal to n, counter is equal to 1, for counter in range. So you're let's see, you're going to 2. So you're starting with counter at 1 and going to 2. Oh, wait a minute. No, I see what you're doing. You're starting it at 2. Is that what it is? And going to 4 and stepping through one at a time. N equals N times 85%. Print day, string counter, and string counter round N, 2. So he's rounding it to 2 positions. That's all that means. It's a formatting thing for round. Counter equals counter plus 1. And so this is the detail loop that prints out the 3 prices, which is what you were asked to do. So he did it in a for loop here. He just didn't do a nested loop. Nested loop would mean that it was inside the while loop. And I think maybe the only way you could do it inside the while loop is with the break. Did you get a nested loop to work without the break?
I'll try.
Okay, I don't know if it
That
will.
was something I was gonna do, I think.
And that's what Jamie could never get it to work without a break, right? Is that right? Isn't that what it was? Okay. So yours probably looked like John's, right? It said while true. No? Okay, we'll look at that one too. So this one, if you want to go along with the way the book is doing, but it doesn't have the nested loop, but this one will work. Original t-shirt price, 15. This one will also work for any number of t-shirts. So if we go 1725, and you notice how it's printing out the rounding The round function that he used is what causes it to not make that really long decimal number. Okay, so there's functions that you can use to, there's another one, I think John used format, he said. So there's another one, you go to 999 and it ends. So it even ended on 3 t-shirts. So it does exactly what was said. And this one may make the most sense to you because it's like exactly like what we did in the book. It just doesn't have, those of you that were working on trying to get the nested loop to work, this one doesn't exactly do the nested loop, but it does use a for loop, and it does, what? Yes, they are. And I won't have you do one on the test. So if you understand this one is more like what you'll do on the test. Okay, let's see. Whose else did we say that I was going to do? Was it Joseph's? Okay, let's see. Where's Joseph? Yours is different, right, Joseph?
Yes, I just put nested loop in a function.
Okay. Oh, you didn't give me the program. You just gave the screenshot. Okay, so 4-day in. Oh, okay. Well, yours has the nested loop. Yeah, go ahead and put, I want to see if we can make yours work. So go ahead and upload your Python there. And in the meantime, let's look at, I want to go back to that one. Okay, let's look at, who else has one that they want to look at? Anybody else? You said yeah. Okay, so Jamie, let's see how you did yours different than what John did. Where'd yours go? There it is. And you notice now one thing that I'm also going to allow you to do on this test, and that may shorten how long it takes to take it, because if you choose, you can, and you comment it like people are doing on their, like Jamie did a lot here explaining all of everything she did is in red. Mm-hmm. So she commented what she was doing. And if you want to do that as opposed to pseudocode or flowchart, I'm going to allow you to do that on the test. So if that makes it, that might take less time too if you're not creating pseudocode and flowchart or one or the other. The reason I allow that is because actually when you start coding in other languages, Python is kind of like pseudocode. It's very simple script, and it tells, except for the difference is in Python, you got to remember where all the indents go, right? And in pseudocode, you do not. And you don't have to put colons places and all that in pseudocode. So your comments can be your pseudocode. They can tell you what you're doing. So here, she starts out the main program with setting her constant end to all nines, original price to 0, while original price is not equal to end. This is her main while loop. And you must alter it. Where do you alter it? At the top of the loop. Oh, that's why, that may be one thing that's your problem, because you don't do a priming loop outside. So you do it once you enter the loop and then you call the function. Mm-hmm.
And it still, without the break, it still would run the very last, like it would take 999 and it would actually take the discount for both 2 days on that and then stop after it's printed the discount on them.
Okay, so yours, okay, let's run it like this and then we'll go back. Oh, let's look at her function first. Her function then is a for loop that says number of shirts in range 1. So does that mean you're starting it at 1? And it stops at 1? It only runs one time?
Yeah, because if I put it in higher, it would print day 1 or day 2 and day 3 more than once. So it starts at 0 and it stops at 1, so it just prints the first 2 days instead of like printing them over and over
Okay,
again.
so it says, so coming in the first time, number of shirts is 0. So then it says, is number of price. Okay, yeah, see, you shouldn't have had to test this in your for loop because
I know.
it was down here tested.
That's why I was like, I could not get it to stop. Like it would not output what we were supposed to have at the very end. So that's how I got it to actually do what I wanted it to do.
Okay, let's see. This one was 17, 25, 16, 85. And then if we say 999, it stopped.
But before, if you take the breakout,
Mm-hmm.
it will print the discount, and then it'll stop after it prints the discount.
Okay, so you notice she has an if in here, and it says if I'm at the end, then break out. So this is the only place that she does all the 9s. So down here, this one that says it's controlling the outer loop, it really isn't, because it only asks the very first time in, right? Okay, so let's see what we can do. Okay, so anybody have any ideas? Okay, so she said, Jamie says that if she doesn't put this break in here,
Wouldn't you put the while at the top and does that change anything?
the while loop down here, well, no, because it's the main, but I understand what you're saying. But let's see, I want to see what happens if I do it this way. Okay, so I'm going to take this and put it at the beginning. That this should be your priming input. So this should ask for input, and you should be able to put all 9s and end right then if you didn't want to enter any t-shirts, right?
It works if you do it that way.
Okay, but then once it asks for it and it's not equal to 9s, then it makes a call, right? And it does that. So the problem might be that you're not passing the t-shirt price. Did you?
That's what I was thinking it might be, but I didn't know how I was supposed to pass it when there was supposed to be multiple.
Because it goes back down there. It should come back down there. This for loop, let's see. This for loop should only go, this for loop should work like you've got it here. Where's number shirts? Where do you set that? Oh, that's just your, okay, I see. So here we want to also take this out and we want to see if we can make it work. Let's see. So we want this code, we want it to print, where does it print the original price?
It doesn't, the original price is not printed, it's only like you see it whenever you type it in because it stays on the screen.
Okay, let's see. You should be able to say original price. Okay, so the first time through, you should be able right here to print. Okay, we want to print it with this statement like you did here.
The reason why I didn't do that is because on the example that you give us,
That's what, yeah,
it's
that's
not
what.
printed like it doesn't show that it's printed. I figured that it was to input it is how it was set up.
That's how Caitlin did it too, right? Because you just used the time that you enter it as the one. But I think when the one I showed you did have a label by it, didn't it? Says original price. Let me look just a minute.
It looked, whenever it first was run, that's what it looked like. It was looking like,
Original price, and then I'm going to put this one as, I'm going to just see what happens here. Original, is that what it's called? Price, P-R-I-C-E. Okay, so if what I intended to happen, and we'll see if we can make this work. We'll see what's happening here. So here it should have outside the while loop, and this is like what Brendan did. This is like detail loop. It's the same as detail loop. So you're coming up here, and the detail loop should go through and print your, it's not a nested loop this way, but yours wasn't a nested loop either. So it should work this way. So here we go. Yours didn't do a nested loop either, did it? Yeah, it did. It had a while, and then the 4 was right inside it. Okay, so let's go here. Original t-shirt price, 15. I see what you're saying. You printed it here, so you didn't print it again. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this never lets you enter again. That's what the problem is.
That never did that whenever I was doing it. So,
Okay, so here what happened is it comes up here and it did this calculation, but what happened is it didn't increment number of shirts because it should have automatically dropped out. Wait a minute, all of this probably has to be moved over. That's what the problem is, I think. See, this has to be moved over. I don't have to move the comments, but this part will have to be moved over. Okay, so now 4 number of shirts in, that's why I think it never ended, because it didn't know that was part of the loop. Let me try again. 15. Nope, that didn't stop it. Okay. So it's calculating that right, but it's not dropping out of this loop. We'll put this just to see if we can make it comma 1. That, I don't know, that should have defaulted to that. It what? It won't. Okay, so something is keeping, anybody having ideas? Look at the for loop. Why is the for loop not ever stopping? Do you need to initialize? No, you don't need to initialize that for loop.
It kept on running and without me adding anything to it, right?
There's no actual, like, because of the way that it's put on there, the way I had it set up is it would go back and ask after it printed those 2. So I think the reason why it's doing that is because the original price is the, like, when you actually enter the stuff.
It comes down
outside
here.
the loop.
Okay, and so then, oh, I know what you have to do. Hold on, let's try this. No, put it here. Because you have to have one at the top of the loop and at the bottom of the loop. So this should do it. Yep. So it needs, remember, every while loop has to have 3 parts. Has to have the priming control variable, putting something in the control variable, testing the loop, and at the bottom of the loop, before you exit out, you have to alter the control variable. So that's what we didn't do. Okay, so those 3 parts is the only thing that was missing there. So, yeah, let's see, 17.25, 16.85, 999. So that's all that happened that you had to do to keep from having to use a break. Okay. So this is a lot easier logic. But the main thing that I want you to always remember, because this will be important in the test, is that you have, this is the initialize control. So these are the 3 things too that I will be looking for in your comments if you don't pseudocode, is that you have initialize control variable. And what's the control variable? What's the control variable in this problem? in the while loop? It's what? Right, it's the original price. So when I say control variable, it's talking about what controls my loop. Which variable controls my loop? Okay, so my comment says I have to initialize the control variable. This step does what? The while loop does what? What? Well, it ends it, but how does it? It tests the control variable, right? So these are the things that are the key things to knowing if you understand a while loop. And then at the end, I have to alter the control variable. Those three things, even if nothing else are in your comments about your loop, this right here is actually the body of the loop because it's the call to the function. Which what she put here is good. That tells you what the function does. But these are the three things that are so important for every while loop. You have to initialize the control variable before entering the while loop. Then the actual while loop is the test to see whether you're at the end, right? So you need to know what the control variable is. Then you alter the control variable. And in Unit 5 in MindTap, it gives those three steps over and over in that chapter. It tells you you've got to initialize, test, and alter in every loop. Tell me if you don't understand. What is the control variable? Everybody, tell me, what's the control variable in this particular problem? Price. And here she named it origin price. Okay, so you have to have a control variable. It's simply a variable that controls your whole loop. Now, in the for loop, do we have those same three parts? In a for loop, do we have
So,
an initialize?
all you had to do was put your input on the bottom
Yes,
and have one at the top.
that's correct.
That's what it is.
Okay, and in a for loop, do you have to have those same three parts?
You need like a or an if and like an else. And
Well, what it is, in the for loop, you have you have those same three parts, but they're all inside this parentheses, right? Because it is a definite loop, and a while is not. A while can be if you want to put a number, alter a number, but a for loop can only be a definite loop in Python because you have, it has three parts, right? We just know that two of them are defaulted, right? So this is the initialize of the variable, the control variable. This is the ending of it where I want to stop. So that's the test. And this part is the alter. Right? Everybody follow? So those, you follow, Lane? You sure? Okay, tell me if you don't. Because those same three parts have to be in every loop. It's just that a for loop is best for which kind of loop? Definite. Very good. I know I don't do a lot of rote memory testing, but these are things that you got to think about that have to be in every loop, or else a loop is it'll go on infinitely. Every loop has that. It's just the way it does it is differently. So if you understand a while loop better, you can do everything with a while loop. We could have done this with a while loop if we said up here, if we set, okay, we're going to change this one to a while loop. And I'm going to take these comments out of here so there's not so much stuff in here. But this is good if you want to go back and see how Jamie formatted. Now, Caitlin formatted using round, and I think that's how, Brendan, did you do round? Okay, that's a round function. This is called using the format. That's what the F stands for. It says, take whatever is in front of the percent sign. You see, this is in front of the, is this variable name? And carry it out 2 decimal places. That's what that does. That's why when you print hers, it prints out with the money with 2 decimal places. But then we can look, you can also look at the way Caitlin and Brendan did it with round, and the round does it also. It'll round it. You can tell it how many places, decimal places, to round it. And that's part of a built-in function called round. Okay, so if we wanted to change this, let's change, oops, what did I do? Yeah, I didn't want to take that out. I wanted to take this out. Okay, so now if I want to take this for loop and I'm going to change it into a while loop, even though it's a definite, I would have to first of all have my initialize of my control variable. So what's my control variable in this for loop? What's she using as the control variable? No, right here inside the for loop. What's the variable that's controlling when it stops and ends? Num shirts. So that means I've got to go here and initialize it. And we want, oops, we want it to be initialized to what? 0. So here I would start it out, then I would change this to while num shirts is less than 2, or I could say, because we want it to go through 2 times, right? So we want it to go through while it's 0 and 1. That work? Okay, so that is a definite counter-controlled loop. That means it's going to go through while num shirts is 0 and while num shirts is 1. So what else do I have to do? I have to do one more thing. This one is the test of the control variable. This one up here was the initialize. Oops. Initialize of control variable. And so what other step is missing? Lane, what's missing? What did I say? There has to be an initialize, a test, alter. So down here at the bottom, I'm going to have to take num shirts. Oh, put a space in there, didn't I? Num shirts plus equals 1, right? And then that way, this one is the alter. Now, what's the difference in this while loop? What kind of a while loop is this one as opposed to the one that's the outer? This while loop is what kind of a while loop? Definite. Very good, John. And this one is the indefinite because it's controlled by a sentinel, right? We don't know how many times, even though I told you you're going to go through 5 times, we don't really know. We want it to be any number of shirts. So we wanted it to stop at 3 or whatever. Does this make sense to change how you did? But yours did do a nested loop. It worked exactly like what I said. But this is more like what I'm going to have you do. You may do 2 loops, but they're not going to have to be nested. Okay. And I normally let you use a while or a for loop. Just know whether the program asks or the problem asks you to use a definite or an indefinite. Okay. So if I tell you the loop will end at 0 when the dollar amount is 0. So that one is a little different than all nines, but it's still a sentinel controlled, right? Whenever you put a 0 t-shirt price in. So if I wanted that to be the case, then I'd have to change that to 0. And you could never enter a $0 amount. So here, if I say 15, and it told me, oh, it printed twice that time, didn't it? Did it do that a while ago? No. I changed. Oh, that was my while loop. My while loop's not working right up at the top. That's what it was. Thank you. Okay, so it should say as long as it's.
You should take the 2 out from up there. Remember,
Right here?
Yeah.
To less than 1. Okay, so here it's going to go. So now it goes 1500.
There you go.
All right, did it right. And then 17, very good. You guys figured that out. See, you're starting to understand loops. So now if I put a 0, it should end, and it did. Because I said execute it until 0. So I have an outer loop, and just like when the one where Brendan did it, he did it more like what our book says. You have a housekeeping, which in his housekeeping, that's where he did, see if I can find yours again. That's where he did the initialize loop, was in, okay, yours was BC, wasn't it? Okay. Okay, when he did his, what you notice is up here is where his initialize. So this would be actually his initialize, even though it's not right before the loop. It is initialize control variable here, right?
Would it still work if you moved it to be where?
Well, his actually right here. Okay, let me show you. Even though he goes up there and does it, the actual initialize is right there, right before the while loop. See, because he calls that function and initializes it and dumps it in this variable called name.
Okay.
So he still, his control variable is name. So here is the test of control variable, right? And then this is the body of the loop. And this is the alter. Of the control variable, right? So he has those 3 steps all here in his main loop, which is what it teaches you in MindTap, right? In that unit 5, it shows you this template. And it says you can use this template in every language. So if you put these comments out here, then this is the body of the loop, and you can tell me, then that tells me that you understand what this loop is doing. You might at the top, you know, if you want to comment, you can say this is which kind of a loop. It's the body of the loop, but it's then this while loop is definite or indefinite? Indefinite. Very good. Does this help? You guys understand loops a little better today? After today? Jamie, no? How do you say? Samuel.
I'm working on trying to do the function. I've already written it in the way for the code.
Okay, and so did you do the while loop like this? What's your, did you upload yours?
I did upload.
Okay, so let's look at yours then. We'll look at it. Now, let's see, where'd it go? Yours is Samuel N. Nixon, right? Okay. So this one.
Mine was struggling. I don't know if it was wrong. Idle wasn't working very well. I couldn't I don't know. I guess it just don't like my way around idle necessarily.
Did you use PyCharm? If PyCharm's easier, a lot of students are still using PyCharm. That's not a problem. I just think it's easier for you all to see what I'm doing up here.
Trying to do it in idle, and it wouldn't let me go back. Edit, just stop.
Well, indentation error. Okay, so here you've actually you've got 2 while loops going, but you are testing the same thing in both of them. Oh, I know why, because you didn't put it in edit mode in your idle. Okay, in idle, if you're in Windows, remember you have to go, where's idle? If you're in Windows, it's under options, I think. On here, mine's under preferences on the Mac. That you go to preferences and you have to go over to general, and you have to change this where it says open shell window to open edit window. That's what your problem is, because yours was printing that out that way. See if that, because you're on that Windows PC, right? And that's how.
Yeah, that was before I did that one at home.
Okay, so now do you have it right?
I have it running.
Okay.
Without a function. I'm working on it.
Okay, so upload the one that you have right there then, and we'll look at it. Does anybody else have a question? Let me go in and fix Unit 6 in case there are those that want to go ahead and go. You can. Let me make sure in Mind Tap that I have. Unit 6, because this is, you don't have to do any of it until after the test, but
All right, I just
okay. Okay, so sign in. Let me go here and make sure this is set up right. You'll really want to know for loops when we talk about arrays, but I think that probably helped today a little bit on even on for loops. No, you are exactly right. I sure thought I set that up. I'm going to open up Unit 6. Available. Let's see. Due date is going to be, I'll put that way forward. Let's see. Let's go, because we're going to work on that a lot. I'll just put here for now. I didn't fix the dates, due dates, so what I do need to know is make sure now it didn't do it. Okay. Preview. Okay, so let's see what it did. Did it do it? No. It's giving me a fit. Okay, well, y'all aren't going to be ready for that right away. I'm going to go wait until I code apply. That'll give you the for some reason it's not letting me do it. Due date, save. Okay, now it should let you in there. No, it's still not showing selected, is it? Deselect. What's happening? It's not letting me just do that one for some reason. Show selected. Yes, I want to show them. Okay, now you should be able to see it. Some of the coding in there maybe have opened some that are not Python, so yeah, it does. So I'll go back and fix that, but don't do anything that isn't Python. Okay, if you try to do the activities, but the test should be available. Yeah, it's available too. All right, so you put up there, yeah, any of you guys that, if you need to go or whatever, we got about 10 minutes left though. And so I'm gonna look at this one of Samuel's, but if you wanna go, it's fine. Samuel's. Okay, I thought you uploaded it again.
I did, I recently.
Where is it? This is, I still only have that same one, right?
Project 3 P1.
Yeah, that's what I have, and it looks like the same one. Is that the one that you just now uploaded? Maybe I need to refresh. Ah, there it is. Okay. That's a different one. That looks better. Okay, save. Okay, so this one works with the while loop and a nested for. Oh, this works with a nested for loop. Let's see what yours does. So in our t-shirt price. Hey, look at that. Yours works with the nested loop. Okay, so what?
I changed the range to 1 instead of 3. Because when it does, when you change the range to 3, it
Uh-huh.
turns it 3 times.
So day is 0, so it does it twice. Hey, that's pretty cool. Okay, so here is out. This is your. You've got all 3 parts. So this one is your initialize, right? This is his test of the control variable, and this is his alter outside the loop. Now, the for loop has all 3 parts too. So what you're wanting to do is take this for loop and put it up in a function. So that will be the part like what Brendan did. So if you go here,
You have to pass the information.
you should have to, but we might not. Well, the only thing you should have to pass is OG price, because the other things are not, they're not part of this loop. Okay, let's see. DEF, and we'll call it calculate or discount or something like that. Let's try it without passing. Okay, so here it would go, Control V. Now the for loop, blah, blah, blah. Define discount. Okay, so let's just see if we make the call here to discount. Okay, let's see if it'll work. Invalid syntax, where's that at? Oh, that's just my comment. Okay, so let's see here. Enter t-shirt price. Okay, so that one's actually discounting it. It's going through 3 times, but it works.
Yeah, I thought it was 2 times. I thought you did 1.
Well, because the original price. So that means it's doing day 1, day 2, day 3. Anybody see what we need to do? So this one, this works correctly, but his is discounting. Oh, I see why, because of this right here. Day 1 doesn't multiply. See, this should be,
That should be just the original.
yeah, and then this should be 85.
And now I want you to set it.
But this needs to be of day 2. See, you've got to take 85% of whatever day 2 was.
Right, but you could just compile it to 70%.
Oh, you think I would do the same?
It does.
It does? Okay.
Just depends on whichever Mac you want to use.
Okay, so let's see if this works. Because this is the most simple one, except for the way Brendan did it. Okay, original, it still has,
Yeah, it still has the original because it's still in there.
okay, yeah, I didn't take it out, did I? Okay, so that's all you need to do for your function. You saw what I did. Okay, so we probably want this to say original again or something. Original. What I ridge. There we go. And 17.75 and 999. Okay. So that's, and I know what you were saying about passing. It would work with passing. You would have to change, like you would want to pass here, OG price, and up here you could just call it a ridge. And so then here we would have to change it. Print. Actually, we don't need to print it down here, do we? Because we're printing it up there.
Yeah, so let me get this straight. You only wanted it discounted twice.
That's right. Because you take the original price and the next 2 days it's less.
I thought you wanted to.
Yeah, it was kind of hard the way it was worded. Okay, so then this would say RIG. So now you have actually passed it. $15.00. There we go. And 17.75. There we go. 16.85. I don't know if that was right. There we go. So that was a pretty simple way. You see his function, instead of like, well, this, all Brendan did different was he put this in a housekeeping call. And then this is your detail loop, is called discount. And he called it detail loop just like it does in the book.
I'm calling it a discount.
Okay. So this is, see, this is a simple indefinite loop that has the initialize step, the test step. This is the body of the loop, which makes the call to the function. And then he has a for loop in here, right? Okay, anybody have any questions? You got it, right? All right. So see, we have progressed each test to where you did just sequential steps, one right after the other, but you have to know sequential steps to know how to do this. Then we did if statements, which we don't have an exact if else in here, but we did the way when Jamie did it and John, their first one. But you really are doing an if statement in your while loop, right? It's just not called an if statement because you're really testing it. And so you have to understand if else's, and now you understand loops. The last hurdle is arrays. List. That's what you call it. Yeah, that is what they're called in Python. In Python, they're called list. In our MindTap book, they address them as arrays because that is a generic for all other languages. COBOL used tables. They call them tables. So every language has them.
Like the guy that was doing
C#.
tutorials, he would call them lists and they call them arrays and they call them lists.
And so it was confusing. Okay, yeah.
Well, sounds like they're the same thing.
Yeah, they are the same thing. Okay, you guys are